Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Michael Klassen, a veteran broadcast producer with extensive experience in news, sports, and film and podcast projects. He is the host of 5 a.m. podcast, and we learn from him about habits, spiritual principles, and intentional routines that lead to greater productivity, resilience, and purpose driven living. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Michael. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can master mornings, how mastering mornings can also lead you to living with purpose and how they are interrelated or even separately. We'll talk about through your SMART goals. We'll talk about all this, but let's first talk about your journey, your story, a bit of a background, Michael, so that people know who they are listening to.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. And I grew up on a farm, humble beginnings, some might say, but I always had an interest in stories, listening to stories, but also telling stories. And then I found out about television and that all of this magic of what was happening and fooling the eyes and as a way to convey information and build relationships with people. So I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life as I got older. And then I learned, kind of the ins and outs of what actually goes on and how people use it for different purposes. And I wanted to encourage people, use it for good purposes, and have a way of connecting and building relationships with people.
Absolutely, Michael. So I want to understand, what is it that you are trying to do? What is it that you are focusing on telling people about whatever you are doing?
Well, Napoleon Bonaparte once said that leaders are dealers in hope. And when my wife and I started 5ampodcast.com about 5 or 6 years ago, we wanted to give people hope. And we wanted to spread messages of encouragement that would help people to understand that their lot in life is not fixed in the stars and the final chapter of their book hasn't been written yet. And so we wanted to give people help and wholeness that they really could reach for what they thought was unattainable. And that's the purpose of 5am podcast today, is to be purveyors of hope and to we hope that 5am podcast is a destination on the way to somebody's purpose.
Absolutely, Michael. We'll come to the 5am podcast itself, but let's first to the 5am itself. You are a big proponent of mornings. Why mornings? Many people love mornings. Many people hate mornings, do not like it, and that is why I want to understand why so much of focus on mornings. Why not evening?
Oh, yes. Well, I love the mornings. And growing up on a farm, we had to be up early to feed the animals, milk the cows, that kind of thing. So it was something ingrained in me from a very young age that our early mornings, they set the foundation for the day. And so when we can get up early and set our intentions for the day, maybe for me, like I pray and read the scriptures, people have developed their own routines of exercise and physical fitness. And I just found that when we are able to get up in the morning without the distractions, we can set a great foundation for the day. And then we can have an expectation of success and an expectation of accomplishing our goals and tasks and purposes.
Absolutely, Michael. But you see, 5am is 5am. And then you are from the broadcast background, news background. There, 9 p.m. is prime time, 8 p.m. is prime time. Okay, so how do you wake up early in the morning and still be primed for prime time? How do you continue to have that energy? How do you continue to bring the best out of out of you at that time when it is too late because you have woken up at say early morning?
Yes. So There's a fellow in America. His name was J.D. Rockefeller, and he lived over 100 years ago. And he said that every dollar his company made, he had a 100-year plan for it. So it couldn't be used here because we had a plan for it over here. And so with our time, if we want to be up, let's say at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. because we want to start our day, that means we have to adjust and be very principled with the rest of our time through the day. And that might be taking a nap around 2 in the afternoon or something. But it means that we have to be willing to say no to certain things so that we can go to bed at, let's say, 9:30 or something like that, and have that plan already laid out so that we're intentional even when it comes to the end of our day, to say, oh, I know there's some fun stuff on, but what's more important to me is my plans and purposes. And we may not do it every single day. There might be a weekend where you stay up a little bit later and get up a little bit later, but it's that very intentional part of it. And then of course, we still, like you said, we need the energy. So we have to be very intentional about what we eat. And we have to have a good diet where we're not putting a lot of junk into the temple that we have. So it's it's a full spectrum, kind of like a circle or a wheel, and it's all connected.
Absolutely, absolutely. Michael, what about those people who say that I am not a morning person? Will you force them to
Ah.
become an evening person, or they can also be a morning person? It is just that they have told like that to themselves.
Oh yes. So of course we now there is the saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. However, there comes a point in our lives where we have to say, what do we want? And what I'm doing day to day, is it getting me to where I want to be? And we can't keep doing the same things and expect different results somewhere along the way. 2 plus 2 will always be 4. And so if you are not a morning person and you want to, and you're happy with how your life is and you don't want anything to change, then you could continue being a night owl and staying up late. I'm not sure what they're doing late at night. I know for me, I love to be up when the sun is rising and the birds start singing. And I find a lot of value in that. And certainly, if someone's thinking about needing to make a change, I would say one of the first places to start is getting up earlier and going to bed earlier.
Absolutely, absolutely. You talk about also about spirituality
Hmm.
into this whole productivity thing, Michael. If you can elaborate on that for the audience, what is it that you want to say?
Oh, yes. Well, I grew up with Christian parents and Christian great grandparents for generations, and was very grateful for that upbringing. But I found that one of the big takeaways from Christianity is that we have to say no to things that are stealing, killing, and destroying, and we have to say yes to abundance. And then we have to live that way. So we can't bring stealing, killing, and destroying into somebody else's life. We have to bring light, love, and abundance into people's lives. And so as we've built 5 a.m. podcast, we've wanted people to know that there is those forces that we all encounter of stealing, killing, and destroying. And then there's those forces of light and abundance and love. And that's what we wanted to share with people in doing this, is that we can make that decision every day that we're going to bring light, love, and abundance. And hopefully that will change the world around us. That'll help relationships with neighbors and coworkers and some of those bosses that we have that we don't like. And we think, man, you're bringing stealing, killing, and destroying into my life. But I can't reciprocate. I can't act that way towards you, even though my flesh really wants to like punch you or something. We all get those people in our lives. And it's that principle of saying, no, I'm going to seek joy and I'm going to seek light and abundance and love. And as hard as it is, maybe I just have to keep my mouth shut. Yeah.
Absolutely. Keeping talking of mouth, keeping your mouth. How do you open your mouth so early in the morning, 5 a.m. podcast? If I understand, people are barely, awakened, and at that time, how do you prime yourself to go for a show? Not only I don't know what's the cadence for your particular podcast, but any morning, 5 a.m. It's a tough job to to record something.
Yeah.
Or if you are doing live.
Well, fortunately, we don't record at 5 a.m. But it is great to be up early. And uh, as you develop a routine, it gets easier. We have those idea of baby steps. And we were just over with some friends on the weekend, and one of their babies, he's not even walking yet. But those little children go from crawling to running in a very short order. And so it takes a little time to adjust. And of course, a great thing, of course, is drinking water first thing in the morning when we get up. And I know that there's a lot of different health modalities, and I certainly think the Vedic and the Eastern medicine and philosophies of health and what we eat and those kinds of things are much better than what the marketing of the Western world has forced on people. And so I think when we have a good spiritual diet and we have a good physical diet, and then exercise, of course, plays a big part of it, and getting those endorphins and that adrenaline going. So that helps. That helps for me in the mornings. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even bringing back the morning thing, you talk about that, it also brings about the abundance
Hmm.
mindset. Now, how is that? The poor chap will say, Michael, I've just lost on my sleep, and you are talking of abundance. I thought that was abundance.
Yeah. Well, we can have the abundance of sleep. And, there's a verse in the Bible in the book of Proverbs, the book of wisdom, as some people call it. And somebody will say, I'm not getting up. There might be a lion in the street. And of course, we don't have lions here, but we could say, oh no, the covers are warm, especially in a cold Canadian winter. And it's dark outside till like, I don't know, 9 in the morning. You have to be very intentional about that. And it's sticking to your goals and your plans and your purposes, and being able to say, I have got to make the right choices so that I have a good foundation for my day and for my life. And then in my later years, I have the life that I planned for, not just happenstance or by accident.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not by just just by chance, but also or accident, but actually,
Yes.
and that is where what brings me to your smart goals. Tell us a bit about what these smart goals that you talk about are.
Oh, yes. Well, I really needed the structure to focus my mind and focus my activities into what I really wanted down the road, not just today. And I came up with this thought of we can't let perfection stand in the way of our purpose. And some people don't want to start because, well, I'm not going to do it right, or I'm going to make mistakes. I know I didn't like making mistakes when I was younger, and we kind of get punished in school or other places if we make mistakes. Instead of people realizing, well, that's just learning how to walk. And you can never run, and you can never carry things around if you don't know how to walk. And so I needed goals. And then I found the SMART goals. But and that was the biggest download at 5ampodcast.com was our SMART goal worksheet. It was just one sheet. We gave it away for free. We were trying to help people, not make money or anything like that. And we were just talking that we needed to expand it into something that was more like a workbook. And so as we went through, we realized that we needed more help with our goals. And so we thought, well, other people probably need that too. And so we found that we're not looking for perfection from ourselves. We're looking to accomplish our purposes, and definitely writing them down. There's a statistic that if you have a goal or a purpose that you want to accomplish, just by writing it down on paper, you're 42% more likely to accomplish that goal in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what about reflection journal that you
Mm.
talk about?
Yes.
Is it what the name suggests?
Um, it is being able to reflect. So here's part of it. It's still a work in progress, and the reason that we wanted to put a reflection journal or vision journal in it is so that people could continue to engage with the book, and they could refer back to it like a reference book almost, so that we have an accountability section in there. We have a section in there about uh, what are your milestone celebrations going to be, and what are your baby steps going to be versus your being able to walk with greater cadence and even be running one day with your dreams and goals. And we know that it starts with the small steps, and it starts with the writing it down. And the reason that I'll just add a little bit more to that reflection journal part of it is in the book we're putting in planners and a journal so that you can keep track of what you were thankful for, or maybe what didn't work out, where you had a little bit of a fall down. And it's just something that you can look back and reflect on your goals and say, wow, I really did this. I should give myself a pat on the back and be a little bit proud of who I am, and even the people that came before me that enabled me to be in this position where I could have goals, write them down, make them plain, and then go from crawling to walking to running with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. What keeps you motivated, Michael? Because you talk about all the good things, but
Yeah.
the
Oh,
outside world you get to see and hear, and even on the social media, it's all about the not so good things. One can
yes.
get demotivated a bit.
Yes.
How do you manage, calibrate the real
Oh,
life and your life?
well, the number one thing is my relationship with Jesus Christ, the Savior of Christianity, and being able to read the Bible and have that spiritual connection. And then, of course, having a wife who's supportive, which is like number two on the list. You can't do much without that. And then having good friends that are like-minded, because there are many times where there's pitfalls, or we trip and fall, or we think there's a barrier in the way, and we don't realize the barrier is an opportunity to strengthen ourselves. And so, of course, it's mindset, but it is those people who are around us, and then our spiritual connection too. Of um, like I was saying before, there's that kingdom of stealing, killing, and destroying, and then there's the kingdom of light and love and abundance. And it sometimes seems that those two are fighting, and we're not sure who's winning at a given time. But it's that faith and that family and friend connections.
Absolutely. So, Michael, in a nutshell, what is that you want to tell people about what you are doing? What is it?
Mm,
What you are trying to achieve? How can people learn from your motivation and also manage their life the way
mm.
you are looking? Not get despondent, but look at the much more bigger purpose for
Yes.
themselves.
Well, to realize that nothing is impossible. Everything's possible to those who believe they can achieve it. And if so, the when we consider, like in our home, how we look at the world, we understand that there's this back and forth between that good and that evil, and that we want to bring good, but we have to work towards that good in our own lives. And so with 5ampodcast.com, we would love for people to realize their potential and how much opportunity there is in this world, but how much opportunity there is for them. And certainly, we have a lot of newcomers coming into Canada, and it can be intimidating, and life can be just intimidating in general. And we were in the wilderness on the weekend at some waterfalls, and we could see that there were some people that were new to Canada, and it was actually great to see that they were exploring the beauty in the wilderness. But you know what? Someone had to tell them that those waterfalls existed. Somebody had to show them the roadmap. It's not easy to get there. And they were driving a Toyota Camry or something like that, and you have to go on some rough roads. But you can't actually get to these waterfalls to engage with the beauty of God's creation without someone first pointing the way and even letting you know that they exist. And so that's what we want 5am podcast to be, is a roadmap to potential and a positive future that's full of light and love and abundance.
Wonderful, wonderful. There is so much to learn from you, Michael,
Uh,
about all
well,
this. And
thank
I'm
you.
sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, connect with your
Mhm.
podcast, connect with your kind of living, connect with what you are trying to tell the world. What is the best way for them to do so?
Oh, yes. 5ampodcast.com. That's
Wonderful.
got it all right there. 5ampodcast.com.
5ampodcast.com. Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.